Hey everyone, welcome to the Omri Hurwitz podcast show. I'm truly honored to have actor and supermodel Noah Mills as my guest. How is that living, that supermodel lifestyle? Dude, you're basically the Giselle of like male supermodels.
Look, man. I've done well, but it's funny. Like, I tell you, I don't know what it is for like these kids nowadays. It's so funny. I was on Instagram and I was looking at like these YouTubers. They've probably become like the new. I was like, wow, these kids. I don't know. I don't think my world was very insular because there was not really. When I started, there wasn't even cell phones. You know what I mean? Like, and we had a lot of fun. Like, it was protected though. We'd be in Milan. There was probably a group of 20, 30 guys I knew, like Will Chalker and David Gandy and Tyson, and we had a blast. But it's been a while since I've been in that lifestyle. I really don't even model that much anymore. And then everything shifted with social media and all of that. So it's like I don't really feel, but I do think the world, that sort of bubble of modeling has been burst, just because of social media. Everything is bleeding together, sort of entertainment. We see bloggers in Milan, and we had a bubble, and that shit was really fun. That was you had to be there to be part of it. It wasn't like you were on a cell phone and you're seeing what everyone else was doing and stuff. Like, you had to be. I went to Milan and Paris, 4 or 6 times a year, and with the same faces, and we partied fucking hard and and made money, and it was wild, and it was fun. Now it's different. Now I reap some of the benefits of the hard work that I did put in, and man, there was a period where I was just working. Like,
Yeah.
I was working Germany, England, Spain, Paris, Italy, US, and was, cashing out and working. Sometimes it wasn't fun. A lot of times it wasn't fun. It's just sort of catalog work and not that type of thing. So, there's two sides to it. I don't, there was moments where you're like, wow, this is like the model, like a Vogue party or something, but for guys, it's a little bit more grinding, it's like, you're there, but, you're not making as much money as probably some of the girls, and not so like, wrapped up and invited into that, luxury fashion world. But like, yeah, now it's quite different. I'm quite happy where I landed though, because I do know a lot of people in fashion now. I myself have like a little brand, so in a weird way, I kind of feel a little bit more involved in it now from the other side. I know, obviously, like, things have turned towards like streetwear, and there's a lot of like really successful young brands in LA. So I feel really fortunate to like still have my hand involved in it a bit in a different capacity. But yeah, not running around and on set and going to fashion shows and all that type of stuff anymore. So,
What was your favorite city to go to shoot at?
In the beginning, I think it was Milan, because Milan was just always like, it was small enough, and I knew people there. Like, it was small enough, and it was always like kind of just like a big party, for like the fashion. Get there, I always worked great there, whether I was working exclusively for Dolce Gabana or I worked exclusively for Gucci, and when Tom Ford was there. So I always like worked really well there. So you're making a ton of money, and it's a small, city, and it's, you're there during a fashion week, so it's lively. And then later, I enjoy Paris. Like, yeah, now I enjoy Paris. I have family there. I have some close friends that live there, and yeah, I just love going to Paris and working in Paris. Yeah, so I always extend and go outside the city, and yeah, I love that city.
In Italy, you're probably like a modern James Bond over there, right? With all those Dolce, you probably go there. All the girls, hey, it's not Mills,
I mean, they do love their fashion over there. I would tell my friends, I'd be like, you know, and I'm super humble, and I don't, you know, I mean, that modeling thing, I mean, could be anybody, you know what I mean? But there was moments when we were promoting like the fragrance and stuff for Dolce Gabbana where I was like, wow, people really come out here for fashion. You know, in the States, it's very different. That luxury fashion market is not as mainstream. I mean, you would never get people kind of like freaking out for like a male model, or for even for like the female models. I think in the States, it's not as here in America. I think they like their more like real person, blue collar. The fashion industry is a little bit.
They like the ballers. They like the athletes.
They like the athletes for sure. I mean, yeah, they like the athletes. They like the musicians, you know, movie stars and stuff. But I think fashion is a little that luxury fashion world, you know, is a little out of reach for a lot of the population. It's funny, it's not represented the same. You know, in Paris, you're like every commercial is like filled with models, and like you're watching TV, you're just like, wow, there's so many like luxury brands advertising there all the time. Here, you know, it's beer commercials and sports commercials and cell phones and cars, you know what I mean? And so it's different. But yeah, man, in Italy, you know, Dolce Gabbana obviously are a huge thing over there, and I worked for a bunch of designers, and that city's always fun to go back to. I'm sure I'll go back at some point.
How was the transition to acting? How has that been treating you?
I mean, it's good. It's, you know, it's tough. I mean, I think, you know, the transition, you know, I mean, I always studied, so I felt like that. I think if anything, the modeling got in the way. I think like it would have probably been a more, just like a more traditional trajectory if I would have just started acting. You know, who knows if I would have made it or not, but you would have gotten the feedback, been like focused. And I think I came with a little bit of an asterisk, you know, like, oh, this guy is successful, or he's got representation because, or, you know, so I think in the, you know, the acting world, you know, people are wary of that. They don't want to be, you know, be getting pushed on somebody for some other reason. I think now it's probably social media, right? Like, is there this pressure to hire people with social media following? I'm sure directors and casting directors don't want to, right? Because they've been trained to just get the best person in the room. And I always wanted that opportunity. I was like, don't look at me with that lens, because like I don't necessarily feel very attractive or want to feel attractive for this part. Like I just want you to feel my energy and whether or not you believe me as this character, which is harder to do when you already have a preconceived notion of somebody. It's like, oh, this guy's a big basketball player, you know, and they come in the room and they're, you know, auditioning for a cop. In your head, you're going like, you're seeing the guy play basketball. You know what I mean? So I think with me, it's like, this guy's a huge model. And, you know, people come in, they're looking at you like, oh, like, is he amazing looking or some shit? You know what I mean? But like, that's, you know, so I think if anything, it fucked with my psyche a little bit. Like I felt like I had to bring this sort of, you know, look or live up to this expectation of this look. And I think it also probably, you know, skewed the way people were looking at me when I came in the room. I mean, not to like, it also helped me get representation, and also helps you get in the room. So there's pros and cons. But I'll always remember like the creator of The Brave, which was very much just like an acting job. I mean, that character wasn't written like as some handsome guy. It was just, he was the character, you know, whatever, not the lead, but, you know, and the Dean Georgiaris, the creator, came up to me when we were filming the pilot and was like, I had no idea like you had this other big career. And he said, I don't know that I would have hired you if I would have known, because McGuire, the character you're going for, was meant to be like the tough, kind of like salt of the earth guy. Like I would have not wanted a model or something in his character. And that goes to show, you know, that cannot help. You know, he literally said that. Like, I don't think I would have cast you if I would have known, you know, you had done all this modeling. So Yeah, hopefully people will forget, and then I can book some more acting. You know?
With all of those Dolce Gabana ads running around and around, I don't think
Yeah,
anyone is going to forget, man.
you know, Google, it's like, what can I do? You know, it's out there. You don't really think about that when you're young and making money and running around. But yeah, no, it's a process. It's a process, and you know, I'm game for it. I like I say, I have some other things I do which I really love, which fill the time. I'm working on a Marvel project right now. It's not a big part, but I'm on a huge production, probably the biggest scale production I've been on.
Wow.
Awesome to see. Yeah, it's got, you know, it's the Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Yeah, I read about it.
Ashton Stan. You know, and it's cool to just be on that size of a project and be like, wow, I'm here. You know, I'm here. I'm working, like, you know, for my acting and, you know, for that, and that's cool. And I want more. You know, and just gotta. It's a tough process. It's also really tough, I do think, right now because, you know, obviously with COVID, there's so many restrictions and people are kind of tight. So like, I'm still at a level where I think I need somebody to take a chance on me, especially for that next level of part. You know, it's like I have to have a director say like, this guy hasn't been in that many things, but like, I like him and like, let's go with it. So, and that's a little tough. I like to go into the room and I like to meet people in person. And we can't do that right now. So we're just sending in tapes. We're just sending in audition tapes. And, you know, I feel a little bit like shit, you know, they don't know me. They haven't met me. I'd love to get, you know, so it's an uphill process, but, you know, I believe in it. And, you know, sometimes you can't rush things and you gotta believe in it and stay the course, you know?
So how does your day look like right now?
I mean, my days are jumping around a lot. I've actually been kind of busy. I've been doing homes here. So like I have a house in Venice that I built from scratch with my brother, which is a great property down there. It was featured in Architectural Digest and we had so much fun doing it. And then you know, Venice is a little touristy and whatnot. And more than anything, I just wanted to do something else and have that creative process going along, you know, with the acting and stuff. So I bought a house on the other side of LA, sort of in the hills, and it's different style house, and I've been fixing that up. So a lot of that, I don't do like the hard work myself. Like I had, you know, a builder, but you know, putting together a house is a lot of little things. So I do a lot of that. Still have guys here working on that. I have a small clothing brand called NM Athletics, which is actually a fucking shitload of work. Sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this? But that's, I mean, again, like I feel fortunate to have that shit because I like to stay busy. I'm not somebody that's gonna, you know, so I run around downtown. I source different fabrics. I buy different dead stock jersey and fleece fabrics and then make samples and do tie dyeing and so that, and then I do pictures as well for the brand. I have friends that are photographers and, you know, organize shoots. So there's a lot of creative stuff. And then you know, I'll also take a day off and go up to my friend's house and sit by the pool all day or like, you know, I have a blessed life for sure. And it's, you know, it's a little scary right now. Sorry, guys are cutting outside. It's a little worrying right now. I think everybody's feeling that where it's like, whoa, are things coming back? Is it going back to normal? You know, what does this time mean? I think there's a certain perspective for me, like, okay, if everything is changing, what do I want my life to look like? What are the important things, you know? And so it is a tight time. I think people are a little anxious and rightfully so, but I think the best way is just to stay creative and stay productive. I'm also writing a script, so I got plenty to work on. And I got a dog, you know. And I love her. I love her to death. I feel like this guy hates his dog. No, I love her to death. But it's a lot. It's a lot having a dog. So it's like, you know, but that's been fun too. So some changes and some growth and some, you know, continuing of creative endeavors, especially with the clothing in the house. And then, you know, recently the auditioning has started to uptick. So, you know, I'll get an audition. They usually want it in 2 or 3 days, and you got to work on it, find somebody to tape with, and that tape together and edit it out. So every day is very, very different for me. I also make sure to work out, like I just for my mental and my physical, boxing, try to get good.
Yeah, I
food.
saw on Instagram you hitting that shit.
Yeah, man. You know what I mean? I gotta find some content, but yeah, I love that. I just it's nice to work out. I go to the gym. I'm on my phone and stuff still, so it's nice to just put the gloves on. You can't touch the phone. Work with this guy, Tiger, who's and it's a full body exhausting freaking workout. So yeah, I haven't traveled much. I've pretty much been in LA, especially because with the houses, like I rent the one in Venice now, so I have to be around if something comes up with that. And then I'm doing this one, so there's actually a lot I have to be here for. I'm hoping though, in about maybe in a couple weeks I can go to New York. I actually want to go to New York and might have a job there and go upstate to a summer place and get out a little bit. But we can't leave. We can't go to Europe. You can't, so we're kind of stuck here. It's odd, Where are you now? You're in Israel?
Yeah, in Israel.
I really want there. I feel like I would like everybody that knows me is like people think I'm Jewish a lot. I think because maybe my name's Noah and I don't know if it's the way I look or whatever.
You look a little bit, yeah, you do.
Yeah, but I definitely know a lot of Jewish people and people that are from Israeli. And my friend Liat is like, "Oh, dude, you would love it." I was like, "I really, really want to go."
Dude, you have to come.
Look you up when I come.
Yeah, man, I have to meet you in person.
Yeah, for sure. I do really want to come. It looks like a beautiful, fun country.
It is.
Yeah.
So you talked previously like about all the stress that is, being going on because of COVID and everything, all the anxiety. Throughout your career, did you have any mindfulness practice that you would go to? Anything, maybe meditation, maybe something else?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. I've struggled with a lot personally. Like, when I was young, I had a drug and alcohol problem that I got over. That I, joined, AA for, and learned some things in there, and then worked with a therapist and a life coach, and decided to leave, Alcohol Anonymous, and work on that stuff myself with self-developmental work, meditation, and I've dipped in and out. Like it's always there for me. Sometimes I'm stronger with it, and then sometimes I get busy and I go away from it. But that is of the utmost importance. I think I've had enough success to know that like success without some sort of mental mastery or mental clarity and calmness is not fun. Like so wait one sec, I'm gonna maybe move a little bit. They got the air compressor now going. But yeah, for sure. Like and recently I was just talking to my good friend who's a designer as well, Nick Fouquet. He makes hats and we hang out a lot and we share, it's great to have a friend like that because we are in similar places in some regards. And it's like I think coming into COVID, I was busy. I had a house going, I had the clothing line. I was on the Marvel production. I was writing my own script. I wanted to start a production company. There's like, lots of things to be doing. And then COVID happened. And I think it made me shift, or it is making me shift into a place where like, maybe you're running in, and I think as a society, we can get addicted to working, and we put that at the forefront. If work is going well, or if I'm creating, or if I'm, working really hard, I'm good. And it's not necessarily true. And COVID's made me realize that, where I'm like, are you okay without all the work? You know what I mean? And that's really important. And I've struggled with some, and I've struggled and kept myself really busy and stressed out, and then thought, man, like you can't sit still. You can't read a book. You can't, so I have of late been meditating a little bit and reading and just trying to like put my phone down and go, boxing is nice because it's an hour or 2 hours of just not, looking at the phone, being doing something, you know. And the dog honestly has been a little help too. Like a lot of like walks and hanging with her. Yeah. So yeah, man, I think that stuff is like of the utmost importance, and I think, you know, a lot of people know that, and that's a good thing, and that's a good direction, you know, that people are going. I think there's a lot more like self-developmental and spiritual work going on in the world than there was, like, you know, back when our parents were growing up. I don't think they really thought about that shit much. They were like, you work, you get married, you have a family. I mean, you know, but it's different. It's different now. So I think that mental health aspect of the whole process is just as important as, you know, being successful in whatever you do. And then that's the best of both worlds. I think then you have perspective, you have some sort of mental, you know, control over, and then also you get to be successful and enjoy the fruits of your labor. So that's what I'm shooting for, and just have to remind myself that, you know, as much work goes into the job, it's got to go into the personal and you know, mental as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Is there any specific book that inspired you? I know there's that Marlon Brando book that you always talk about, right?
Yeah, that Marlon Brando book is phenomenal, and I think he was somebody that is like, you know, that you brought it up. That's kind of the proof in the pudding right there. I think that's somebody who had success really quickly and fervently and intensely, and then spent the rest of his later years trying to get some sort of understanding of like life and what it all meant. I mean, I watched the documentary on him too. It's incredibly sad, really, you know, in some regards, because you're like, so much talent and such an incredible life and experience, but a person still at the end left completely, you know, scared and at his mind's, you know, whim, and you know, he did all those recordings with himself. So
listen to me, Marlon, right? That's how it's called.
Yeah, Listen to Me, Marlon is incredible. If you haven't seen that, I mean, he's talking to himself and making these tapes, and identifies so much with it, just trying to calm himself down, trying to, you know, not feel too paranoid, not feel anxious. And, you know, I mean, I think that's, yeah, you can look at that and say, you know, wow, it's not about the success. It's not about, like, you know, Instagram followers and shit. Like, it really isn't, you know? I mean, you might have to experience it for yourself. You might, you know, and like, that's fine. If your drive is to be famous and you get there, but I would say probably you're going to get there and realize, oh shit, there's all this other stuff that has to come too, because I could be miserable here in this massive house or something. But yeah, I mean, The Four Agreements for me is a book that, like, you know, just strikes a chord. That's tough, you know. I mean, I definitely don't think I live with that, but whenever I read that, there is like a simplicity there, and a real connection to like the psychological and action, you know what I mean? I think that's, you know, that's important for me, is to find ways where, like, I do think it comes down to action. I think I've thought so much, and I've had so many long conversations and done lots of therapy. And at some point, it's like, enough talking. It comes down to action.
Do the work. Yeah.
Exactly. Can you be aware of whatever you're aware of? And then can you have it, you know, actually come out in your daily actions? And The Four Agreements is, you know, all action. You're like, wow, if I can, you know, have this realization of what, you know, not talking shit will do for myself, and then not talk shit for 10 years, you know, and see it, you know. And I mean, I'm not good. Sometimes I get super pessimistic. Sometimes I get super judgmental. So, you know, I can, or, you know, somebody the other day was like, you're kind of cynical. I was like, I am actually a little bit cynical, and I be careful of that, you know, because it's, you know, what you speak and what you know, say, and has power, and can, you know, revert back on you. So yeah, The Four Agreements for me is like a book I pick up and read always. It's like always around. And yes, I'd like to be better with, I mean, those Four Agreements. Also, there's a book that I read a lot. I always get mixed because it's a play on words. It's The War of Art, right? You know, there's a work. So this one's The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, and it's about a writer. You know, it's about a writer who just deals with the difficulties of action and, inspiration as a writer. And I just find it's just like one page, basically, excerpts and examples. And I find it really inspiring. This guy's been through a lot and has a very human and relatable way to that you can relate to, like being a creative person and how do you get to creating something, a product, and getting it out the door and having it made and moving and not getting caught just in thought, so that's another one. But yeah, there's a lot of good books out there.
How's your screenplay going? I think it's about the male model industry. I
have that one. That's a pilot I wrote for potential TV show that I was developing with some producers. That's that's there. I have that in conjunction with some people. But the thing I'm writing right now is actually a thriller that I want to shoot, sort of a 1970s style, a little Deliverance, which sounds that's scary, but I had a summer place, and I've spent all my life, all my summers of my life upstate New York, and kind of always had this idea for a thriller that also has a bit of the social construct of this place up there, which is that there's wealthy vacationers and more working class local people, and there's something I kind of always have thought of that brings a certain eeriness and a certain edge and tenseness up there in that area. So I'm just working on that. But I mean, screenwriting is obviously, I do want to test my hand at that. I think I like screenwriting. I'm not I don't have a great command of the English language and stuff, but there's something that I've taken from screenwriting, even because you're writing for the imagery. For me, you're writing for the minds to play the movie. You're not having to spell and weave such art with the vocabularies like Arthur Miller or the great writers. You're really just writing the bones of what's to be filmed. So I don't feel as challenged, to write beautifully, if you will. It's like I have a story. Let me get the bones down here in the script format. The real art or the impression will come when we film and edit and do all that. So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I do think at some point I will be able to make my own film, and that could be a really rewarding process for me.
In a movie about yourself, let's say someone made a movie about Noah Mills, the male supermodel. Which actor would play you? Who would you place as
Easy, man. I'll play me. I don't know, man. Ain't nobody making a movie about me.
You never know, man. You're still young.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, that's true. You never know. I think there's more interesting things to make movies about. But I do think there is something, and who knows, that modeling project I think could come to light. There's so many, it's hard, and it's like there's so many interesting things, and undoubtedly, like, my experience has been very interesting. I think on a lot of levels. There's, but I think with filmmaking and TV making, there's like that crazy, the politics of and just so much that goes into it really takes a pretty, I think, phenomenal story to warrant somebody spending millions of dollars. But maybe one day I'll write a book just for the. But it was an interesting experience, and the pilot I wrote about that show had a lot of that in there. A lot of the guys that start modeling, come from not much. I found that it wasn't, I think now it's a lot of celebrities, kids and stuff. Not when I was starting. A lot of the guys were from nothing, from caravan parks and, friends from, broken homes. Honestly, it took a certain type to just say, fuck it, I'm going to New York. I'm going to live in a small apartment, you know what I mean? And I come from a good family, but a lot of the guys were pretty rough around the edges. very straight too. I thought like we were young and we were after girls, you know, and then you're put into an industry where a lot of the people that are making the decisions, the professional side, are gay. You know, that was an experience for me, just you know, being around. And so there was a lot of interesting highs and lows, and you know, psychological development of people. I saw kids lose their minds. I saw kids become stars. I saw, you know, people just absolutely hate it and return back home very quickly, you know. So there is an interesting world there. I think people tend to scoff at it a little bit. They're like, male model, you know, and you can't. It's silly, you know what I mean? Zoolander and whatnot. But look, like, you know, they're humans, you know what I mean? So like, inevitably, there's some very interesting stories, you know, and some heartbreaking stories. So,
was there like harassments and stuff like that going on?
I never really, you know, I mean, definitely something to navigate. Like, I had not been around gay people before in my life. I really hadn't. I lived in Australia, I lived in Canada. It wasn't even really something I had on my radar. At the same time, when I was introduced to it, it wasn't something I felt like super threatened by or super like scared of, or, you know, but I think it was something that had to be navigated. Sure. I mean, like, you know, the process of working for a designer or auditioning, you know, it is intrinsically flirtatious. You know, I think about a girl sits down with the director out here at the Chateau Marmont or something, like, you know, she wants the guy to like him because he's making it. So you're right there, you're in a, you know, an odd situation in some regards, you know what I mean? And I think in fashion, it's even more so. You're there to be looked at by a photographer or designer to see if they desire you. I mean, sex sells. So it's like you have to make people want you and desire you. That's part of the job. But then, you know, you have to, you know, create some sort of like professional line and stuff. And I honestly, I think I, for whatever reason, did really well with that. I mean, I worked with, you know, a lot of, you know, gay designers and a lot of like, and had good long relationships. So it's like, you know, it's definitely something I think that honestly kept me in the industry, because I did see guys that couldn't deal with that, you know, that just wasn't, you know, part of their ideologies or whatever, or their beliefs, or they just didn't like it. They're young, you know, and left. But I didn't feel harassed, you know. I didn't feel harassed. I felt like I was, you know, there to work. And you know, I also was fortunate enough to start working at a high level quickly. Maybe it's a little harder if you're, you know, if you're really feeling desperate or something like that. But I didn't feel desperate, and I felt like there was some camaraderie and friendship with the designers and photographers, honestly. And if they, you know, really liked me, I was like, great, let's shoot some awesome looking pictures. You know what I mean? That was about it.
Did you ever get in a relationship with a female model throughout your career?
Yeah. Usually pretty short lived. Nothing. Girls I fell in love with, you know, in some regard. But yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, that's fun. And you know, you go on set and you work with somebody, and you know, you're meant to have a connection in the pictures, and you have a connection in real life, and that's all part of it. I think that happens a lot with actors as well. You know, you're traveling somewhere, you're alone. You know, I mean, fuck, man, that job is, you know, was so lonely. You know, in some regards, you're flying all over the world, you know, alone, you're just working with clients, but you don't know them. And a lot of times the talent, you know, connects. So sometimes not so much. No, they're not interested at all. But yeah, I had some relationships with some girls. Yeah, that was fun. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So I wanna ask you. I wanna talk with you about before we end up, because I know you're a big b-ball fan. I also used to play ball.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I'm 6'2". I think you're 6'2", too, right?
Yeah, I'm 6'2", maybe a little bit more. My friends always say 6'2". I say 6'3". But
yeah, so I was a 6'2" point guard.
In the States, you played?
No, here in Israel.
Oh, nice, man. Yeah, I know that they ball out there for sure. Yeah, that's cool. There's another, I'm forgetting his name. There was a male model who played professionally, I think in Italy, as Serbian model. God, I can't remember. He'd kill me. We were friends too. And he was a baller. He was a really good baller. But there's a couple guys that played. Oh, that's fun, man. So you still play a little bit?
I haven't, not recently, but I need to get back to it. Yeah.
I
You
know.
play?
I absolutely love the NBA. I think I'm so envious of those guys. I really think it's like, the Cinderella time with the NBA, where like, it's just this great sport. I think soccer and the NBA are just like built for the modern world right now so well. But
I'm
I
a
still,
Lakers fan. You as well, right? Lakers all the
no,
way, man.
I'm a fan. I mean,
Are you?
I have for whatever reason, felt so broken and sad by Kobe Bryant's death. And,
Wow.
not necessarily because it was like bad, just as a human being, just as like following him and like seeing, I don't know what, I think a lot of people just like struck a chord. But honestly, when I was growing up and they were dominating, I was like, screw the Lakers, fancy LA. I hadn't been to LA. I was like, I don't like the jersey, still don't, but like, and I was like, no. So I was a Boston fan when they had Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett was always my player of mine. So I haven't really had a city, that I pick from. In Baltimore, the Washington Wizards, who used to be the Washington Bullets, actually play in Baltimore, but they've never been that very good. So but I'm just a fan of the game, fan of some players, man. I loved watching Chris Paul play with Oklahoma. I got them. That was a good series. There was a good series. I watched the game last night. I think the Lakers, if they get it together, man, just one more notch, I don't think they can be stopped. There's a lot of big, gosh, yeah. But I still play a little bit, and I have a clothing line, and Joakim Noah got some stuff from me and was wearing it. In my mind, I was like, and I told him, I was like, Dad, your dad's like the first guy on my mood board, whenever I'm Yannick Noah, which was cool. So who knows, man? I was like, maybe I'll end up like this NM athletics thing will work out, and
Like
I'll get to like sponsor some athletes, or like get in there in the NBA somehow. I don't know.
the next Supreme, man. The next Supreme.
Yeah, exactly.
And athletics all the way, man.
And I was like, wow, I could imagine making a tennis kit and finding like a good young player and getting some gear on them. But yeah, it's a great sport. That's cool to know. Well, if I come to Israel, man, we got to find a court.
We got to play, man.
Yeah. Do they pick up ball out there and stuff?
Yeah. Oh, of course, man. They're very, very, very tough, very aggressive defense in Israel.
Yeah, I can imagine all that military training.
All that hand checking, man.
Ow, I can feel my wrist hurting already.
Anyways, man, thanks a lot for taking the time to talk with me, man.
My pleasure. I'm glad we did it. You seem like a super cool guy, and good luck with the show and everything, man. I'm glad you had me on. I'm
honored. And yeah, man, well, let's keep in touch, man. You're really, dude, you're an amazing, special guy. You really are.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely, man. I got you on Instagram and stuff. We'll stay in touch, and you get out this way, let me know. If I get out that way, I'll let you know.
Awesome, man. Thanks a lot, man.